Thomas, can you do the roll call for us?
Mayor Dave Morandi is
Absent.
not here. Trustee Lynn Miller.
Here.
Trustee Marie Early.
Here.
Trustee Francis Murphy.
Here.
Trustee Steve Aloto.
Also absent. Okay, thank you. We're going to start off the meeting tonight with the financial report. And with us tonight is our accountant, Michelle. Please, can you pronounce your name? After a year, I'm still having trouble.
Ascalilla.
Ascalilla. A fine Irish name. Thank you.
Okay. So just a couple brief highlights. Tax collected through July 31st is $1,501,000. It's about 94% of the total tax roll, and we were at the same point last year as well. The AUD was submitted to the comptroller's office before I went on vacation, July 21st. Amendments will have to be made after the auditors come, but that's standard procedure. The auditors, our independent auditors, will be here September 25th to the 27th, on site for 3 days. This is the last year of their contract. We will need to do an RFP to find potentially new auditors, or if we like what their bid comes back at, we can use them again. So after they do their report, probably December or January, then we'll start looking again. The New York State Comptroller's Office was here. They did a review of a little bit of everything: procedures, policies, financials, water bills, sewer bills. Their idea of being here was to find out if we need an audit of any particular department. This is the job of the comptroller's office. That's all they do is audit. So they did a review. We haven't gotten their report back yet, but they said it could be everything's fine, and then they'll see us in a couple years and do the same thing again. I think it went well. They might have something to say about our procurement policy, but we're changing that anyway because the limits were so low. Financial reports are attached for both June 30th and July 31st. So through July 31st, 2 months into the new fiscal year, two revenue sources of note, which are both seasonal. Building permits and fees are about 47% of our budget, so we're doing really well. People, I guess, want to make changes. And the parking meter fees are about 32% of the budget. But again, they're seasonal, so these numbers won't stay on track like this for the whole year. In terms of expenses, we did buy a zero-turn radius mower. We did that under shared services equipment. Now, this is a decision to be made about the CHIPS program. CHIPS we usually use for highway resurfacing and stuff like that. However, the mower can be under CHIPS miscellaneous. So my feeling is the state is giving us the money to use at our discretion. So whether we save it and do paving down the road, and then we have not enough paving, then we have to carry the money over, or just draw down on the money now. We're going to spend it one way or the other. So if we want, we could get reimbursed for the $10,000 for the mower now, and then if we need, we'll put it in savings, the $10,000, because we took it from just regular budget allocations. It'll go to fund balance, and then if we need it for paving down the road, it's still a wash. But this way we can get the funds up front. For water and sewer, so far with billings, we're 25% collected, and that makes sense for the billings that we've done so far. Other than that, it is only 2 months into the year. There's not much else to really comment on. Have a good fund balance number for you from May 31st when the independent auditors produce their reports. Any questions?
Before you joined us, Fran and I were talking about what streets may potentially be repaved this year.
Mm-hmm.
And you thought the jury's still out on that.
I think we were looking at Fishkill Avenue.
Fishkill Avenue.
Fishkill Avenue is one of the big streets that needs to be done probably from end to end, and we need to go out for quotes for that.
We can go out for quotes, or what we've done in the past is use Putnam County's bids. You can
Right,
piggyback on that.
And that will also require, some modification to the curb on the west side of that street. Right now, the pavement is pretty even with the curb, which means, street water, goes onto the sidewalk, so.
Most of the garages in that street are, as you come farther south, are deeper and deeper in off of the sidewalks.
Are you looking to redo the sidewalk too, or just the curb?
The sidewalk needs work. I guess it all depends on what kind of money we have and what we're gonna do this year, so we're, you know,
The
that's.
sidewalk becomes ADA compliant, it can go with the
Right.
paving for chips.
It may already be. Greg, do you remember whether or not the corner of Fishkill Avenue and Main Street, across Fishkill Avenue, is there a ramp there already? Do you remember? That would be great, Phyllis.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. I don't know.
You don't remember?
I think there is, 'cause I think all of them are, all the state, when the state did 301, they did them all. All the corners are,
You think they're all done on Main?
when they did Main Street.
But you know what we could do? There's no ramp on the north side of Fishkill. In fact, the curb is up about 3 inches from the sidewalk on the north side of Fishkill, which is a great deterrent for the stormwater that comes down Mountain Avenue. But we might look into something there to make it ADA compliant and thus qualify for chips.
Yeah, we have to see what we have, and that's one street that'll probably grow most of our chips money by the
Right.
time we get through Trunk Street, so we have to see, and see where we go from there.
Anyone have any other questions or comments on the budget, on Michelle's financial report?
Michelle, I want to thank you for getting the AUD done, because I remember last year when you went here. And it was agony, and did we get an extension, don't we get an extension? We did get an extension, I was really agonized over that. And then suddenly I was told it was done, I was like, I didn't even hear about it, it just got done, so thank you so much.
It is a very extensive document. It did take most of June and July, but it's done.
Nicely done, thank you.
Until next year.
Thank you, Fran.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Michelle.
I think before Dave had left, he wanted just to do one quick clarification. When we collect property taxes, we levy taxes. When we levy taxes, we levy for property taxes, which come directly to the village, which is the bulk of it, and then a small portion of it is for Fireman Service Award.
Yeah.
These two numbers together is our total tax levy. The $42,000 that we're levying from the Village of Cold Spring residents is in fact different and separate from what we ask Nelsonville and Phillipstown for. Total number of Fireman Service is $65,000, but only 42 of that is from our village residents. And we just wanted to make that clear.
Thank you.
Is the 42 just fireman service, or is it also workers' comp?
When we levy to the residents, it's just the Fireman Service Award, the contribution for the pension.
I believe that also includes the admin, correct?
No,
It doesn't, okay, so
no,
the
the
admin.
42,000 goes straight into the contribution to LoSAP.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else? That's it?
That's it,
Okay,
thank you.
thank you.
Michelle, thank you very much.
Lynn is going to do the Recreation Commission report.
This one, okay, the monthly report, they met on Tuesday, the 18th of July. The Cold Spring Chamber free concerts have been approved for August dates at the waterfront. There's a birthday party at Mayor's Park on August 6th that was approved. Class reunion refund for use of Mayor's Park on July 8th. The plans changed, that was approved. True Green Park treatment contract plan discussed, and the chair made necessary corrections for all future treatments. Mayor's Park fence repair quotes, 4 companies were notified. Quotes to be the week of the 7th of August, repairs to be planned ASAP. Mayor's Park Pavilion metal door replacement quotes have been in and will be planned after fence repair and in line with 2017-2018 budget. The Mayor's Park ball field dugouts have been painted and benches replaced by Haldane Facilities Department, thanks to Mike Twardy.
Right.
Waterfront staining, the bandstand railings, all benches, dock utility containers were coordinated with Putnam County Sheriff's inmate program, as per the letter from the village. The senior picnic is scheduled for Saturday, September 16th from noon to 4. And the next recreation meeting scheduled will be for Tuesday, August 15th. Submitted by Bruce Campbell.
And we just received an inquiry today from C Street. They want to renew their agreement with the village for this fall. They haven't said what dates yet, but in their application, they will identify the dates. Fran, do you want to do the planning board?
Sure. Monthly report, August 3rd, 2017. The planning has the following matter before us at this time. Referral of Sue Costigan of SCGY Properties.
Properties, yeah.
LLC. A new approximately 2,888 square foot building with a footprint of approximately 1,444 square foot, containing a first floor commercial space and a second floor and one bedroom apartment. The property is located in the B1 General Business Zone per 134-9, requiring approval, review and approval by the planning board. The property is located in the Historic District per Chapter 64, requiring review and approval by the Historic District Review Board. A variance from the Zoning Board of Appeals is necessary as the front yard setback will not meet the 40 feet required per section 134-9E4 of the Village Code. While lead agency role for the State Environmental Quality Review seeker of an action would typically be the Planning Board and Historic District Review Board chairs agree that the HDRB should consider taking the lead. In this particular action, the greatest impacts are from the proposed demolition of a historic building in the National Historic District on Main Street. The mitigating measures to address these impacts will also predominantly be with the HDRB as well. Specifically, the proposed replacement building that will presumably seek to address these among other impacts. The change itself, visual, village character, quality, etc. So the HDRB majority moved to circulate their intent to declare lead agency for this action. Once that notice of intent is received, the planning board will meet to vote on this. Respectfully, Matt Francisco.
Thanks, Fran.
There's no address, but I assume he's talking about Carolyn's, the
Yes,
voters.
it's 126 May. Okay, the ZBA monthly report, August, from Greg Linder. Current business, 12 Locust Street. Workshop was held August 3rd, 2017 for this application. It is for setbacks in the side yard. It is under consideration for a small lot definition for side yard setbacks. Public hearing has been scheduled for August 17th, 2017. Future business. We have a pending application for 26 Rock Street for setbacks. It is trying to proceed without involving 24 Rock Street, which was subdivided previously. This will require John First's involvement. We also have a pending application for 126 Main Street. We are awaiting the decision of the HDRB before we schedule a workshop. And then FYI, this is from Greg, I will be leaving Cold Spring as of January 2018. I strongly suggest the board replace me at an earlier time so we can make a smooth transition. Current board members have not expressed an interest in moving into the chairman position, but you may confirm with them individually on this. Okay. Do you do HDRB?
Oh, well,
It's a longish one.
I know. I did read it ahead of time.
Okay.
A little practice, okay. From the Village of Cold Spring Historic District Review Board. Current applications. We have been working through an avalanche of applications since early spring. Agendas have been long, and we have added extra meetings every month to accommodate the public. Of particular interest to the trustees are current applications related to proposed demolitions at 126 Main and 29 through 35 Market Streets. SCGY Properties has proposed to demolish the structure at 126 Main, formerly Carolyn's Flower Shop, and historically, through most of its existence, a bakery, and replace it with new construction. We have been workshopping with the applicant to discuss range of options on the property, and at last week's meeting determined the proposal to be Type 1 action under SECRA. We passed a resolution declaring the HDRB lead agency for environmental review. A notice has been circulated to involved and interested agencies. Under guidance of the village attorney, we initiated SECRA review, requesting that the applicant complete the long-form environmental assessment form. The HDRB will require the services of a consulting engineer to assist with the conduct of environmental review, and potentially require the services of a consulting preservation architect. We cannot enter into a contract on behalf of the village, so we will need to work with the trustees to engage these professionals. Please advise the next steps in this regard. Similarly, we have been workshopping for some time with Sigma Henderson Studio regarding the rehabilitation of a number of structures at 29 to 35 Market Street. At least one of those structures, a Gothic Revival cottage, may require partial demolition of damaged fabric in order to stabilize the structure. This will also be a Type 1 action in the National Historic District under SECRA. We will be initiating the environmental review in our next monthly meeting. Please be advised that we will need consulting services for this application as well. Under ordinance revision, submitted as part of this report is the most recent draft dated August 2nd, 2017 of the Chapter 64 ordinance update. The last round of comments of the village attorney have been incorporated, and it is ready for trustee review, though one state code reference remains as a question for Mr. First. We had discussed providing a side-by-side text comparison for your use. However, given the reordering of the topics for process clarity, consolidation of some portions of the code and clarifications of others, we found that such a presentation was more confusing than helpful. We think it most useful for you to compare the table of contents between the existing code and the draft, and then simply read through the draft. We provide the existing table of contents in this report as well. If, after review, you find you have particular questions or need clarification, we can address these inquiries individually. If it would be useful to have a joint session, please let us know. Under the design standards update, Tilly Architects are scheduled to deliver the first full draft of the revised design standards by the 9th of August. We are on target to meet the completion deadlines of the SHPO/CLG grant that is funding the work. Respectfully submitted, Kathleen E. Foley, Vice Chair.
Thank you. Yep. Town of Phillipstown, thank you, Frank.
Good evening, everybody. Very short report here. Last month I did report about the Avery Road Bridge. It should have been completed on August 29th, but due to manufacturer's issues regarding the guardrails, it's been delayed. The guardrails are expected to be shipped here on Thursday, hopefully installed on Friday, and the bridge should be open early next week. Regarding another construction project, our annex building behind the town hall, which is going to be a new building department, it's going along very well. All the framing and everything's completed, the roof's on, windows are going in, and we're starting electrical and mechanical work this week, as a matter of fact, and security as well is going this week as well. We did have a meeting with the county DEC regarding the pesticides at Fisker Road. Greg attended, myself, and as long as Dave Moraney was there as well as the mayor of Nelsonville came as well. I think Greg's got a little bit of a report on that this evening. We did discuss that in a little bit of detail, but we also went on to discuss the upper reservoir and the properties bordering the upper reservoir up in Foundry Dam. So we had that meeting, and I went on vacation a couple days later, so I'm going to bring it up to our town board tomorrow night when we have our meeting and discuss what properties around there and what kind of zoning is in those areas. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Putnam County, we have nothing from Putnam County.
Actually, I have one little thing.
Oh, we have something from Putnam County.
relationship to the herbicide spraying, there is gonna be a committee of the Health and Environment Committee, the Putnam Legislature tomorrow, at 5:30 PM in the Legislative Building. I believe it's room 308, I'm not remembering that correctly. But this issue is on their agenda tomorrow, so if anybody's interested in hearing more about it and their perspective, I intend to go to that meeting and encourage other people to.
Thank you, thank you. Fire company?
Good evening, we're back. Do you have anything for us, or no? You guys okay with us? Okay, a couple reminders, we're
I'm
just
sorry,
looking.
yes, you may see in the minutes, a reference to that the boiler was not approved. That is not the case. We'll talk about a correction to the minutes. Repair boiler was approved. We deferred approval of the hot water repair until we had a chance to see the budget. And so I would expect that we would have an answer on that by the next meeting. But the boiler repair has been approved. I don't know
That was the statement.
who has to give the go-ahead on that.
For the boiler?
That's
George.
Yeah, I would.
Mechanic, yes.
So do you know whether or not that?
I don't know, but I
Can you follow up?
Yeah.
We'll follow up on that to make sure that was with Padala, correct? To make sure that Padala is aware that has been approved. I'm sorry, Nat, I didn't mean to.
No, that's perfect, no, it's fine, we're just reminders, trying to get the signs. I talked to Dave and Steve, they were at a board meeting, so the signs put up and the street being painted again on that parking.
Yeah.
I just feel bad for people who keep parking there and then they're.
They get a ticket.
This is on Church Street, right?
Yeah, I just want to keep reminding, that's all.
So it's the signs and it's also the pavement.
Yeah, the pavement just
Yeah.
needs lines, I just think it makes, just
Yeah,
easier, it's more visible, that's all.
I know that was on Charlie's list. Unfortunately, with Bugsy
Okay.
out, Charlie's had a
It was a
difficult
little busy,
time.
And then we talked to them about the roof and stuff, so, again, they're working, I know Dave said he was working on getting stuff done, so.
What Dave said to me on the roof is that I think that it's gone to an engineer and the lawyers, so we're at the.
Yeah, he said he's working on it, so I really don't have, really not too much actually done. I don't really have, unless you have anything.
The only thing, the siren, we have an update. I know when Steve reported, whenever 2 months ago to us, he said that you guys had a company come and look at it, but then you guys were curious on how the electric bill was still fluctuating. Well, like I said at the beginning of the year when I said, it's a spline with brushes, and the spline is still spinning probably in the siren, it's just not making contact, so, I know Padals were contacted or something, like I said, a few years back, they had Central Hudson lifted off, and they sent it out, just had it rebuilt. I don't know if that's the solution again, it's probably a lot cheaper.
I apologize, I don't know where that stands. The last I remember is that Steve had an estimate from,
Yeah, I think it was like $6,000 or something.
From a company that.
Yeah, actually.
That's what I said, when,
Yes.
we did it years ago, once before, Padal sent it up and just had it rebuilt, and that was much cheaper than buying it.
and I know we had Padala look at it as well. So we'll follow, apologize on both, but we'll follow up with that.
The only other thing, I don't know if it could just be on the list, just to take a look at, the back door is like severely in debt of replacement or major repairs.
This is the
side
people door?
Yeah.
Church Street, everything
Yeah.
seems to be on Church.
Yeah, it doesn't wanna close all the time, it doesn't wanna open. We had an incident in the village last night, apparently, and we had to be checked ourselves because the door was open.
So I've added that to our list of things to do. It's not
I
a
saw the
negative.
door, I thought maybe it could just, it's the right swing and
Yeah,
everything.
actually.
Yes, the problem with that is it's the wrong swing for us, so it has to be changed.
Huh? It's wrong?
It's hinged the wrong way.
If you're not using it, I'll
Keep
take
it,
it.
Sorry, sorry.
it'll fit ours perfect.
Yeah, if you're not using it, I'll take it.
Yeah.
No, it needs,
Could probably carry it.
that was supposed to go in there, but the wrong swing came, so it has to be.
It'll work perfect, that's right for us.
I
They'll take
We
it.
will lock up very tightly tonight.
We might just need the
You don't have a
change.
key to this building, do you?
Forceful entry.
There's a lot, yeah, we got forcible too.
There is
Okay, so the boiler, the siren. And-
Right, we need to, the signs on Church Street, the pavement striping, the siren.
Boiler, just double check with Jeff.
The hot water, yeah, the boiler, did that approval go through?
Have to talk to Jeff on that.
Right.
And then the hot water we didn't.
The hot water
Sure.
heater, we're gonna have to bring back to the meeting and
And
approve that.
as we look at the budget. Church Street deal.
Okay, thank you. Fran, do you wanna do the tree advisory board?
Okay,
Do you, I'm thinking that just the report or the report and the work plan, which do you think? There's a page and a half.
Right.
The report, and then there's the work plan that's.
I'll go through, I'll go through the whole thing.
Thank you.
Okay. And until I lose my voice.
Okay.
Report of the Village Board of Trustees, report to the Village Board of Trustees from the Tree Advisory Board, August 6, I don't think it's 2014, I hate to tell Jim. Time does fly, 2017. In July, the Tree Advisory Board held our meeting on July 26, which included a final workshop with the property owners at 230 Main Street regarding costs of the proposed replacement planting plan that was a component of the tree cutting application to the board. We discussed the village's awarding of our new Tree City USA status, our progress on the tree walking tour, Central Hudson line clearance, utility line clearance work, the possibility of sharing services like stump grinding with Putnam County, the updates on Main Street beautification project and delays, new tree cutting applications, Springbrook condominium correspondence about trees near the creek, and priority pruning list and other miscellaneous items. Other items of interest, the boat club beautification, the Cold Spring Boat Club members have completed the planting of a portion of their new fencing and painting of a portion of their new fencing and completed planting all of the myrica shrubs for the lovely improvement of the New Street property. It looks great. One additional bald cypress tree still remains to be planted. We hope the board will visit the site and extend the village's sincere thanks to the club for donating the cost and considerable labor for this good project. Central Hudson line clearance, as you know from previous memos to the board, members of the TAB have been working with Central Hudson prior to their now ongoing line clearance work in the village. We have discussed our concerns and planned for the clearance work they are performing on public trees, both in the long term and short term. We've understood which wires and trees are priorities for them, and they understand how much we value the trees. We are both committed to a cooperative relationship. To that end, we negotiated the removal of 7 trees, either in full or partially, that were on our priority removal list and also impacting Central Hudson infrastructure, thus saving the village around $5,000 to $7,000 for necessary maintenance and removal work. We have tried also to respond helpfully to public outcry and concern over the clearance work. We emphasize that the utility has certain weighted rights to cut trees within the legal confines of the right-of-way and according to specific easements. We all can appreciate that these rights exist in the interest of providing us safe, reliable electricity. Healthy trees are good for our community, and so is reliable electricity. There has to be some give and take in order to balance these two often competing goods. That give and take happens in the zones where the trees and wires overlap and are in conflict. We are working diligently to plan a future treescape where less of our public trees are in conflict with wires by planting shorter varieties under wires and larger shade trees directly across the street from these whenever possible. We are collaborating with the mayor on recommendations for our next round of tree pruning and removal work, which will include the removal of 2 8-foot trunks that are left over from our collaboration with Central Hudson, as well as several of the next trees from our priority list. Please find the August suggested work plan for your consideration attached. Respectfully, Jennifer Schwab, Chairperson. And then please find below a suggested July, I guess it would be August work plan for maintenance and other activities related to the village trees. Highway Department tree maintenance continued to fill watering bags on newly planted Main Street trees once every 2 weeks from mid-June through early September. Tree maintenance, follow-up with the county on loaning or sharing of tree crew and equipment. And to the Village Board of Trustees, weeding or weed whacking of Main Street area from Chestnut Street intersection west to the tunnel is needed, similar to what used to be performed on the street and to what is currently done on the areas of Upper Main Street from B Street east to the village border. If you could please CC the tab on your recommendations to the Highway Department for this maintenance work and let us know how we can be of service. A suggestion of a thorough weeding day earlier in the season in May, and the annual spring application of mulch to all tree pits to suppress weeds is recommended. This is in addition to periodic weed whacking according to highway schedule. The tab would be happy to organize a volunteer weeding day once a year to assist the highway department. Once the new tree pits are installed, we hope to get more businesses to collaborate in caring for tree pits in front of their businesses, but minimal regular weed whacking and mulch work by the village will still be needed.
Fran, on the highway department, I believe that Charlie is doing item number 1.
Right.
Do you know what the status is on item number 2, which is the follow-up with the county?
I have no idea. I just sort of always assumed that Jen was gonna be handling that. Seems like she's passing it to the highway department.
Right.
So I have no idea.
Can you confirm with Charlie that he's
Sure.
not doing that?
Mhm.
I didn't think he was, but, and if he's not, which is what I think it is, I think we need to go back to Jen and say,
Right.
what is this what is this all about? And as far as the, weeding or weed whacking,
I know Dave has spoken to Charlie. I don't think he's given him anything in writing, but he has spoken to Charlie about weed whacking along Main Street, and he's done some of their spots, but not all of them.
okay. Is it, do you know if Charlie has a schedule?
I don't know. I'll ask him that also.
Okay. Thanks, Fran. The Code Update Committee, the July report, Code Update Committee held 4 meetings in July. The committee continued outline preparation and research of 7 topics in the appearance category. Completed thus far are landscaping within and around parking lot standards, standards for the preservation and restoration of cultural artifacts, standards for 3-story buildings, and fence standards. NYSERDA has agreed with changing the topic from cultural features to cultural artifacts. This particular topic has been given to the Historic District Review Board for their review. The list of cultural artifacts will probably be extended over the next month. What that means is the identification of the specific cultural artifacts, that list will become a part of the village code. And as we identify more cultural artifacts to add to that list, we will do so. So what's a cultural artifact? So, on the south portion of St. Mary's Lawn, south portion now, close to Wall Street, there are 2 bronze plaques. One is set into a stone, and I can't remember whether the other one is just set into the ground. Those would be cultural artifacts. The bandstand would be a cultural artifact. The eagle on Haldane, whatever color it is this year, that would be a cultural artifact. Sorry, the bell, whatever color it is, the eagle, those would be cultural artifacts. What we want to do is to identify them and then protect them in some fashion, working with the HDRB and doing that. Okay, back to the report. The committee has completed area and bulk regulation standards and maximum lot coverage and setback standards for R1, R3, B1, B2, B3, and B4A. Work continues on MU1, which is the new mixed-use district, PR1, which is the Parks and Recreation District, and B4. B4 is Chestnut Ridge. The committee has begun discussions on sign standards, both external signs and internal signs visible from the exterior. The committee now believes that the second public meeting will occur in the September timeframe. So that's the Code Update Committee. So, water and wastewater.
Start with the wastewater report. First thing to mention on the sewer rehabilitation project, Fair Market Fish and North Streets, National Water Main Cleaning Company has completed the relining of collection mains and installed repair liners where needed. As hoped, no excavation was necessary, saving thousands of dollars on the project. We'll be receiving the final reports and video files in the coming weeks,
That's great news.
which is great.
Yes.
I think the residents of Fair Street, especially between Cross and Main, they really kind of suffered through, they were there the longest and in front of the homes, and it was difficult getting in and out for a while for them, so we appreciate their patience. But good to know that at least that's done now. The other project we had scheduled major for this year is the Market Street Pump Station Replacement Project. This Friday, we're having a pre-construction meeting with King's Capital Construction, who was the contractor that was low bidder and we signed contracts with. Meeting with them and MTA / Metro North on Friday morning, get the ball rolling and hopefully set up a timeline for the project. So that's this week, and then we'll report in with what's happening after that. Parrott Street sewer main. There's more than one. One is in the street and one is in the backyards of half of the street.
Yes.
Okay, so excavation for a small construction project on the west side of Parrott Street recently brought the existence of a 6-inch sewer collection main back into the limelight. Unlike all the other sewer mains which are in the center of each village street, this line was constructed in the rear yards of 13 properties on Parrott Street. Its exact location and depth has been a question for years, but while National Water Main was on site here in the village, we contracted with them to get their smallest equipment up there into the line. It intersects at Bank Street, west of Parrott Street,
Yep.
but there's no manhole. Every other place, where there's a collection main connecting to another one, there's typically a manhole. This one was just done in the street and there was no access to it. Years ago, probably 10, 12 years ago, we installed we call it a clean out, a 6-inch tube that goes down and ties into the main in the shoulder of the road. And we've been using that to put our jetter in to clean it out. They were able to get in there, clean out 470 of the 700 feet, and get a camera in there. And with the camera was it's called a sonde. It's like a transmitter where they could locate where the tip of the, where it is. And so we have a much more specific idea of what we thought to be very general location of where this line cuts it. Goes under garages and pools and additions and all sorts of stuff that over the years everything was built. The deepest it is about 9 feet under this construction project, which is good because they took down a garage and we're putting back up a small studio. We were concerned about the location and the depth relative to the footings, and so that's what spurred this whole need for investigation of it. And as well, they say we got 470 feet out of 700 of it inspected. We got up to the end, and it's clay tile pipe, and they're about 20-inch sections. And so, at each section, there's a chance for them to offset. And that's what happened at the 407-foot mark. Couldn't get the camera any further up the street, but we've got from Bank Street up 470. So we know more now than we ever have before about it. We know the condition of it, or we'll know better when we get the video back, and then be able to determine what, if anything, needs to get done. It's been problematic over the years. We've done periodic maintenance by going up and jetting it clear. There's a lot of root intrusion because there's a lot of plantings up and down. It's in backyards. People, they have nice backyards. They put trees up, roots get in there. So, it's clean now. Everything is good. So for the moment, but we are going to have to assess the quality of what's left there and determine, what needs to get done, if anything.
You have the other one that goes from Grandview down to there. Mooney and Leahy's property.
There's a right-of-way that goes from Grandview all the way down to Fair Street.
But there's also a sewer line that goes.
Yeah, that may be considered a lateral. I don't know if that's not really our main.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I've talked to Terry Leahy about it because I believe he was part of the.
Board back then.
Well, I think it was his aunt's house.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, so that's a lateral, gotcha.
I believe it to be. We've never known it to be anything different.
Okay.
So that's it on wastewater. Any questions? Okay. Water Department. Upper Reservoir Dam Rehabilitation Project, still in design. Tectonic's latest update is they expect to deliver the initial report to the board on the 18th of this month. It was originally the 19th of last month, so they're right on schedule. There is an outline of the recent progress attached at the end of this report. You can see it under my signature. That's their general outline. But they expect, so it'll be, we're at what are we now? Today's the 8th, so, a couple of weeks. And we should have that in hand. The DEP connection, we remain in contact several times per week with our agent at DEP, attempting to resolve outstanding issues with respect to the project and getting it moving into the water supply agreement and land use permit that we need in order to construct the connection. Verizon. DSL on Fisker Road, as well as other properties in Phillipstown, was out of service for the better part of the last 9 days. We still had phone and our alarms were in service, but the inability to connect to the SCADA system for the water treatment plant was more than inconvenient. And I plan to be looking into Optimum or other providers because they didn't care that it was a treatment facility or anything. They didn't answer calls. It's ridiculous. So we're looking. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Same problem we had the last.
Yeah. With virtually everybody else, you have the government contact, and you can, especially when you're, your facility like that. It's one thing to be a residence, but if you're actually, you need this. It's really disappointing to see them kind of get it at their own pace, which was nothing.
We contacted the FCC. When did the town garage happen? A week and a half
Anytime it
ago?
rains, they got problems up
Oh.
there, one little lines.
Oh, okay.
It's all good.
This one started a week and a half ago on Friday. On Wednesday, I contacted the FCC, stated that not only was it an inconvenience for people, but it affected the safety of our water supply. And I then contacted our congressman, and we got a little special help, and eventually it got resolved. As best I can tell it, everybody that I am aware of that was out is now back online.
Okay, so thanks for taking their time on that one. Very good times. As Mr. Flaherty brought up a little earlier, the herbicides on Fishkill Road. At last month's meeting, I reported that a contractor for the Putnam County Highway Department applied herbicides along the guardrails of Fishkill Road. Following is an update since then as to what's happened. A FOIL request was submitted by a concerned resident, Kathleen Foley, on the 22nd of June. The official response came back July 26th. Among the information provided was a copy of an inspection report written by the DEC regarding Allen Chase Enterprises of Oswego, New York, the contractor who applied the herbicides. I contacted Chris Hertel, DEC pesticide control specialist, with several questions about the inspection. It was basically an inspection after the fact, looking at the records to see if they were in compliance with the label, and that was one of the answers. Was according to the paperwork and documentation provided, the herbicides were applied in a manner consistent with the product's labels. I further inquired as to whether the contractor had ever had a full-blown investigation, because they do them periodically and randomly, or they do them for a reason. And he said that in the past it had been done on their facilities, equipment, and records in the past. So that answer was yes, it had been done, but they didn't give the records out, so I filled out a FOIL request, just so for our knowledge, we would know whether or not this is a reputable contractor. They're in Oswego, New York, which is quite a ways away from Fishkill Road, and I just want to make sure they really have a good understanding of, where the water is. Okay, so last month I had mentioned and requested that a written directive be given to Putnam County Highway Department that the use of herbicides along Fishkill Road be prohibited, and that a similar request submitted by our mayor and board, the Phillipstown board, and Nelsonville as well, could make a difference. Earlier today, I spoke with legislator Barbara Scuchamara, who told me tomorrow night, as you mentioned earlier, Lynn, she's chairing the health committee meeting for Putnam County. Part of the agenda will be discussion of the use of herbicides. She intends to call for a ban on the use of herbicides on Fishkill Road, as well as Peachkill Hollow Road, which is in the watershed of another public water supply. So thanks to her on that. If she gets that through tomorrow night, that'll kind of close the book on it. We can't worry about what happened in the past. We're moving forward on it, and if it's that they ban the use on Fishkill Road, it's a win. So, related topic: Mayor Morandi, myself, Mr. Flaherty, attended an informational meeting on source water protection with the DEC, and as well as other neighboring municipalities, a couple of representatives from Nelsonville. The Fishkill Road incident was discussed, and we began laying out the framework for protection of our potable supply through local legislation and code examination. Phillipstown's role will be vital and the largest, because the majority of our raw water is stored and flows through the Phillipstown properties. So, that's where it all comes from, and we're going to be talking about the properties up around the upper dam and basically the water course coming down as to how it can be protected. So,
Just an FYI, last time you requested that the mayor send a letter, and I know he did send it, he
Yes.
signed it, because I ran it by you.
Yeah,
So that did go out requesting that written directives be given to the Putnam County Highway Department.
yeah, yeah, so it looks like, I mean, good efforts. So there's that, oh, and there's one thing I don't have on here, I did mention a month or two ago, the utility billing. You know, it was set up, the plant was built in 97, went online 97, it's 20 years later now. And at that time, all the billing structure as far as in the code of what a unit is, what a commercial unit is and everything else was set up for everything that was happening at the time. We have plenty of times where people are coming in, they're changing a multifamily to a single family and they want a reduction in units and everything else. No one ever comes around when it's going the other way, so I just kind of think it's about time that maybe we visit how the buildings are being utilized, what the units are, and if there are assessments that they're under assessed, they should be, up to par. So if we can make that happen, I think that's a good idea.
Fran and I are gonna take that on.
Yeah.
We're getting a download from Harris that identifies the sewer units, rental units for sewer, rental units for water,
Okay.
per property in Cold Spring, Nelsonville, and Phillipstown. And we'll be going through that to determine whether or not it's still accurate.
Yeah. Okay, so, anything else?
Thank you, Fran.
Thank you.
Building department, new building permit applications received 11, building permits issued 9, dumpster permits issued 1, certificates of occupancy issued 3, title search completed 3, complaints received 5. Referrals generated, 3 to the HDRB, 1 to ZBA, 0 to planning. Fees, as you heard from Michelle, year to date, total collected fees thus far, 2 months, $10,384.57. And the village clerk, as you're probably aware, does a pre-screening of all building permit applications before they go on to the town. And the time that was spent on that in the month of July, was about 10 hours. Okay. Fran, do you mind if we do the police report next? Or Larry's?
Larry's fine, this week.
Larry's had a long day.
That's okay.
I'm sorry, Larry.
No, not a problem. Good evening, everybody. I got the monthly report for July. In the month of July, we had over 84 calls of service. Some calls don't get logged in the computer. They could be, lost cat or something like that. The officer responds, or, most of the other things are on the printout that I already gave you. We issued approximately 60 parking violations, various overtime, uninspected vehicles, unregistered vehicles, missing equipment and stuff like that. During the month of July, the officers issued 22 moving violations of various VTL violations. There were 3 arrests for the month. One was a MHL, which is a 9.41. Those of you not familiar with that law, it's a mental health law. So basically, if somebody is considered a danger to themselves or the community, we can actually place them under arrest, take them to the hospital to make sure they get proper medical access to that. It's not really a physical arrest, you're not taking them to the jail. Most of them, well, this specific one did say, I would like to go. So we escort them to the hospital, so this way that the ambulance corps doesn't have to take them over, and they are in our custody. So for our safety and the safety of the ambulance corps, the ambulance people. 2 other arrests were for AUO, which is unauthorized use of an auto, which basically is a suspended license. When your license is suspended and you're driving a vehicle, if you do get pulled over, it's considered an AUO. So we had 2 of those also in the month. The Community Day celebration was fantastic. We had no major incidents whatsoever. We had 2 lost children that took about an hour and a half to find their mom, but everything worked out great. The kids were reunited with the parent, and everything was fine. With all of that, as of last meeting, we also hired a new officer, Carl Vollmer. Carl had done his training with us in the month of July. He went out with other officers on a 4 to 12 a day shift to get himself acclimated with the village and how we do our law enforcement. Carl is now, in the month of August, will be going out on solo patrol. He went flying colors through his training, and he's, as a matter of fact, out in the street right now. So I like Carl. Carl's going to work out just fine for us, I believe. So I was also notified by Officer Ed Bollinger. He is actually healed now. He will be resuming patrol come in September, which will be a great help to us, another officer that we've been missing for most of the summer.
Right.
What else we have? Just want to remind the village residents that if you are going away, we do have a security check that you need to fill out with the village. It tells us when you're going away, who has access to your house, who we can call in case of emergency, and my officers on every tour will go by the residents to make sure that there's nothing going on. So the doors are locked, the windows are secure, and the property is secure. A few other things I'd like to bring up that was mentioned already to me verbally. I understand that there's concern by the village residents that the new vehicle has still not been marked. Basically, with the marking of a vehicle, I want to try to get the marking down correctly. There will possibly be a cost going on with the marking of the vehicle. In the past, we've gotten certain discounts on marking our vehicles. We're trying to get the best and lowest bid to mark the vehicles at this time. We have one we're looking at one right now, and I'm hoping to get that done in the next couple of weeks.
Great.
There's one thing I did mention to the mayor. We were talking earlier about the fire department and the marking of their spots. My one concern with the mayor, and also should be with the village board, if you look outside Main Street, the double yellow line, parts of it you cannot see whatsoever. So in order for us to actually really do some, to look at the violations of going over the double yellow line or stuff like that, the voters can't see it, we can't really blame them for not seeing it. So I was hoping to get that sometime in the near future, to have the lines all redone. I do believe that has to be done by a company, because they have to kind of mark it out, and they have to have a machine that goes straight down. It's a little hard to do it by hand, because you may get.
We did just purchase, or we're in the process of purchasing a line painter.
Line painter?
Something more sophisticated than the can that we have.
Yeah, because it has taken a long time to get that done.
So,
Other than that, if there's any questions for me?
Thank you, Larry.
thank you. Thanks. You can go now.
Do you know, it struck me before you guys go, a couple of months ago, before the fire company goes, a couple of months ago in your report, you identified the calls that the fire company responded to in the month. Would it be possible for you to do that on a monthly basis? Whether it's a fire alarm, you get called oh, you have it.
You gotta read it.
If you want them, that's.
Can you
fine.
read it? Can you read it? I'll take it, and can you read it?
We had 20 calls for the month of July, 5 injured hikers, 4 wires down, 5 activated fire alarms, 1 standby North Highlands Fire Department, 3 mutual aid calls to Garrison for an auto accident, and 2 to North Highlands for structure fires, and 2 Phillipstown ambulance assist.
Can I take that as well? If you have it written down?
I have another question though, that if we're
Yes.
back, since we're back to the fire department.
Yeah.
I know by hearing in the past some talk about a block party on
Yes.
Church Street.
Yes.
Is that taking place? Because I've never been informed of
Yes,
anything or.
we went back to them for more information. We have not acted on it.
No, because I mean, it's okay, just the way they have to set it up correctly in case of emergency for anything, that's all.
We went back to them for more information, and I don't believe we've heard back from them.
Yeah, they did. Let me see if I have it here. It's, what's her name? I can't remember her name now. Steve, I have the
Still?
date. And they were going to, I think, also notify you, Larry.
Yep, I have not been notified this time.
Okay. I apologize, I'll follow up on that. Thank you.
Just so just so we have, just send an email, whatever, so we can.
What they've been told is that they, it's a Saturday in August, it's not this weekend. That, and we have reviewed it with our legal firm. They are going to be permitted to block off the street, but not with vehicles. They can't put vehicles at the front or the end of the street. They can put up chairs or something like that to deter people, or sawhorses, to deter people from pulling into Church Street. At the other end of Church Street, that's typically not a problem. They are going to end the block party block off at the north end of the firehouse, so that the fire company has unfettered access to all the doors in the firehouse. They've been asked to, as Lynn suggested, and we thought that was an excellent idea, they will have grills their backyard grills, they will bring them out to the front of their houses, and they will have fire extinguishers there in case there's a problem.
I mean, I'm not concerned as much about that, I mean, just as long as they're not gonna be setting up stuff in the middle of the roadway. You know, if there's no parking on the street, that's fine, they're set up on the shoulder, the kids can ride, whatever, the middle of the road. But in case there is an emergency, we,
You need
police,
to be able to-
EMS, we
they've
can
been-
still go down the middle of the road.
They've been asked to try to keep all of the activities on one side of the
Okay,
street,
that's fine.
so that the other side of the street is passable. That was the advice that we gave to them. But I'll follow up on that and get back to you, and I apologize on that. And I can't remember the woman's name.
So trying to think.
Matt, your mother knows her.
Yeah, I would assume so, she knows everybody's.
Because I said to Donna, who's this? And she said, oh, it's so-and-so.
Yeah, I know.
Matt don't live there no more. so-
Yeah, I don't know, not a new neighbor.
No, she's been, they've been there for like 10 years. Okay.
It's a new neighbor around here. 10 years is
Okay,
some change.
point taken.
I have one question about the police report. I noticed that there are no burglaries or robberies listed for the month of July, and I know of at least one.
I'd have to double check on that. If it's an error by my part, I do apologize.
It's okay.
And I would most certainly,
I was just wondering if, you know, for some odd reason it wasn't recorded.
it probably just a misstep by me.
Oh, okay. No biggie.
Thank you. Highway Department. Fran.
Highway Department monthly report for July of 2017, garbage picked up and brought to the plant 73.96 tons. Recycle picked up and brought to the plant 28.24 tons. Took down the 4th of July banner, removed extra trash cans from the riverfront and dockside from the 4th of July. Cut up tree limbs from Bank Street and Tots Park that fell from the storm. Fixed the back of the Hudson House parking lot, filled a hole in the back of the lot, graded the lot, and fixed parking bumpers. Planted tree in front of Town Hall. Patched potholes at the railroad station, on Fair Street, and in front of Mayor's Park. Also fixed parking bumpers in front of Mayor's Park. Put up new trash cans and recycle cans at the riverfront on the dock. Brought old ones back to the garage to clean and reuse. Moved the sign for the Hudson House parking so it would be more visible. Repaired the pipe under the iron stairs on Upper Main Street. Cleaned up curbs around the village for weeds. Put up no parking here to corner signs on North Street across from the garage. Repaired catch basin on Maple Terrace. Repaired sidewalk on the bottom of Parsonage Street. Mowed all the areas that the village is responsible for, and the yard debris pickup one Wednesday a month. And I believe the next yard debris pickup is tomorrow.
I think it's next week.
I'm sorry, next week. I keep
Right,
doing that.
right,
Yes.
you-
It's 16th. So it'll be next Wednesday, and any yard debris should go out next Tuesday night. So that-
Thank you, Fran. Justice Court report, the July 2017 monthly report. Fines, forfeited bails, and civil penalties, $3,185. Parking tickets, $1,914. Civil fees, $287.50. Mandatory state surcharges, $2,184, for a total of $7,570.50. And then there's a breakdown by each type of case that was handled. Report of the mayor and board of trustees. Well, we can report that the mayor isn't here. Fran, do you have anything that you would like to do?
Do I have anything? Off the top of my head, Mary, I'm brain dead.
Okay.
So I apologize, no.
Lynn, anything?
I have two things. I've started on the plans for the senior picnic. I just want to remind folks that it'll be on September 16th. My husband and I are kind of putting our heads together to do a creative ad to let seniors know about it. And also I've just started in procuring donations of food and door prizes. So if the public would like to make any donations, we will be gladly accepted. Another kind of exciting thing, we will have, at the end of this week, we will have 5 new beautiful decorated recycling bins for the village, in collaboration between the Highway Department and Julia Butterfield Library Teens Summer Camp this week. The Highway Department donated 5 new 55-gallon barrels that are left over from a candle making shop, and the teens have sandblasted them and are painting them recycling blue, and will be putting images on the outside to decorate them in the theme of building a better world. So I got a peek at them today and they're looking really good. So we will have 5 new recycling bins, and just like to encourage people to recycle whenever they can, because that's less money that we have to pay to get rid of our refuse.
And it's good for the planet.
And it's good for the planet too.
Yes, and we, with the 3 new recycle bins we just bought, and the one incorrect one that they told us we could keep, so we now have a good supply of recycle bins around, so that's really good, because
That's right. So we've
as long
got-
as they mark recycle and everybody knows that, it makes a big difference.
Yeah.
It's good.
So we'll have an additional 5.
Great.
Yeah.
Excellent.
That's good.
Okay, next on the agenda is Resolution 25-2017. We're probably going to have to renumber this one, because we passed 25-2017 last on 8/1, and this is an amendment to this, a further change to that. So I'm going to call it 26 of 2017. The change, rather than bore you with all of the reading, I guess I should read it again. This is a resolution authorizing updating of the procurement policy amended. At a meeting of the Village Board of the Village of Cold Spring, New York, on the 8th day of August 2017, the meeting was called to order by Deputy Mayor Early, and upon roll call being called, the following was recorded. We'll come back to that. This is the vote. The following resolution was offered by Early, or I make a motion.
I'll second.
Okay, Fran. The motion is as follows: whereas with section 104-B of the General Municipal Law, GML, requires every village to adopt internal policies and procedures governing all procurement of goods and services not subject to the bidding requirement of GML 103 or any other law, and whereas comments have been solicited from those officers of the village involved with procurement, now, therefore, be it resolved that the Village of Cold Spring does hereby adopt the following updates to the procurement policies and procedures. Whereas every prospective purchase of goods or services shall be evaluated to determine the applicability of GML 103. Every village officer, board, department head, or other personnel with the requisite purchasing authority, hereafter purchaser, shall estimate the cumulative cost of the items or supply or equipment needed. That estimate shall include the canvass of other village departments and past history to determine the likely value of the commodity to be acquired. The information gathered and conclusions reached shall be documented and kept with the file or other documentation supporting the purchase activity. Whereas all purchase contracts which will exceed $20,000 in the fiscal year, or public works contracts which will exceed $35,000, shall be formally bid pursuant to GML 103, and here's where the changes are. Whereas all purchase contracts of less than $700 are left to the discretion of the purchaser. This is new. The next one, there's a variation. Less than $3,000 but greater than $700. So that's the variation on this. Require approval by the mayor or board of trustees with the recommendation of the purchaser. That remains the same. Less than $5,000 but greater than $3,000. That remains the same. Less than $20,000 but greater than $5,000. That remains the same. So the one change here is the insertion of the new bullet point, less than $700 are left to the discretion of the purchaser. It should be pointed out that this is annual expenditures. It's not expenditures for copy paper this month. It's expenditures for the fiscal year of copy paper. And it's when those expenditures are expected to exceed $700 for those purchases, that's when this kicks in. When we left this a week ago, it kicked in at $0. So it was from 0 to 3,000 last week, and that is just causing unnecessary paperwork. The rest of the resolution is exactly the same, and that's for public works contracts. Public works contracts are those contracts entered into by the village which involve goods and labor or services. So that's the difference between the two. One is goods only and the other is goods and services. There, it's $3,000 requiring the approval by the mayor or board of trustees with the recommendation of the purchaser. Less than 7, greater than 3, 3 verbal quotes, less than 10, greater than 7, 3 written fax quotations, less than 20, greater than 10, require 3 written fax quotations or written request for proposal or written request for bids. And we had that conversation last week, you will remember. Less than 35 but greater than 20 require public notice of request for quote proposal. That was from last week, advertised in publication on the Hudson Valley Municipal Purchasing website and 3 written fax quotations. Whereas these thresholds have been established to protect the financial interest and integrity of the village and reflect the realities of the current business and economic climate. Now therefore be it resolved that the village board of the Village of Cold Spring hereby approves the proposed updates. So by roll call, we have Mayor Morandi, who is absent, Trustee Murphy,
Yes.
Trustee Miller,
Yes.
Trustee Veloto is absent, Trustee Early votes yes. So the resolution passes by a vote of, I think it's 3-0-0-2. And the resolution was adopted at not a special, at a workshop meeting, not a special meeting.
It's not a workshop.
It's a monthly, thank you, Fran. Where am I? Okay, dated August 8th, 2017. Now, the next item is consider recommendation from Tree Advisory Board relative to 230 Main Street. 230 Main Street is the property at the corner of Cedar Ave and Main Street, where a new house was constructed, where the property, there was Dr. Hall's house and that piece of lawn. So the the owners of the property requested to be able to cut down the 46 yew trees that were on the perimeter of the property. The trees are actually on village property. As you know, the property line of properties on Main Street does not conform to the sidewalk. Sidewalk is not the property line. So the Tree Advisory Board had a public meeting on May 17th and public workshops on June 14th to review the application from, it's 203 Main Street?
No, I think that's incorrect.
Maybe they currently live it. Okay, I'll see whether or not that's correct. To remove 46 yew trees on village property adjacent to 230 Main Street, and to replace them with a few specimen trees. The board heard the proposal and comments from the public and applied the standard criteria to the request. The board voted in favor of recommending a removal with the caveat that an acceptable site planting plan be agreed upon wherein the applicant covers the cost of removal and plantings that replace the value in shade canopy lost as well as improve the site. The board initially rejected the applicant's original replacement proposal, but met subsequently in 2 workshops with the applicant to work out an acceptable replacement plan. We have arrived at an acceptable plan for replacement, and included with this letter is a site plan. See site plan and scope of work attached, and the applicant is willing to cover the cost of the plan. The Tree Advisory Board and applicant worked to mitigate concerns heard by the public, which centered on replacing the trees with both shade and understory trees to make up for the loss of the trees. The tree advisory board applied the standard criteria for judgment of requests for removal or major pruning of public trees and found the following by the vote of 5-0. Since the trees do not meet all the criteria of a desirable tree as outlined in the village's tree management plan, the yews are not on our recommended planting list and are not particularly well sited, as they were likely originally planted very close together for hedging and are grazed by deer. And considering the applicant is willing to cover all costs and donate funds in an amount to replace the canopy lost as per the attached site plan, and considering it benefits the public and the village to improve the site with long-lived shade trees of a mature size that can't be accommodated in many other street locations in the village, and considering that public objections to the removals have been satisfactorily mitigated in the proposed replacement plan, the tree advisory board feels that the proposal is in the interest of the village and recommends that the Board of Trustees approve the application on the conditions outlined above and grant permission for the village to proceed with plans for removal and replacement work. The planting scope of work is to cut down 46 trees and 1 Norway maple, round the stump, blow surface on the maple, and dig out removed yew tree roots, remove all debris from site, add topsoil and level to grade, plant grass and mulch with mulch hay, supply and deliver and plant trees and shrubs according to the plan, 1 12-foot tree, I'm not going to try to pronounce it, 2 3.5 to 4 inch in diameter trees, 1 2.5 to 3.5 inch tree, and 4 shrubs. Mulch trees and shrubs with natural brown mulch, provide proof of insurance, bond, etc. Applicant agrees to watering care in the first year. The site plan shows the placement of the 1 12-foot tree and the 2 3.5 to 4 inch trees and the 1 seedless tree. It doesn't show the shrub locations, or at least if it does, I can't find it. Can
I
anybody?
don't see it, but it's.
Do you
this is
see?
I see it,
Where?
yeah. See these dots right here? They're here and here.
Oh, she marked it with a dot.
Yeah,
Okay, so there's
between 2 and 3
there's a
and,
dot, yes.
Yeah.
See them?
Okay, so there's 1, and there's 4 of them.
There's
Oh,
one
there's
next to number
4?
3.
Yeah, there's 4.
I
One
don't
next
see
to
the
number
other
3.
2.
There's one next
Yep,
to number
yep,
1.
there's another
There
one.
it is, it's hiding in there.
There's a, between
3.
3 and 4, between 3 and the corner, there's another
And
one.
between 1 and 2, there's one close to
Yep.
number 1.
Yeah.
Oh, there's 2. Okay, there's another one here, I think.
Right.
Between 1 and 2.
Between
And
1
then-
and 2.
And then
Was it
between
2
2 and
and
3,
and
and
3
3 and
and
4.
4.
That's 3.
But I don't see the other one.
1, 2, 3. Okay, so we'll have to find out from Jen where the 4th one is. The reason why I asked that we look at this is the applicant had also submitted a request to install a front walk. Do you remember that?
I believe that's probably what this is.
That's what I think that is, and
We didn't
the concern was that we didn't want to approve a walk that would interfere with the planting plan that the tree advisory board was working on with them. So if we can find out where that 4th shrub is, and if it is not nearby the front walk, I think we can approve the installation of the walk. So I'll follow up with Jen to find out where the 4 shrubs
I
are.
think Jeff has a colored picture of this, which makes it a lot clearer.
Okay, I'll check with him tomorrow.
We need a colored copier.
Okay, and then we can approve the walk as well.
Do we need a vote on this?
Pardon me?
We need a vote on this?
I think thank you, if the 4 shrubs are not crowding in on the walk, and we'll find that out tomorrow, I'd like to make a recommendation that we approve the request to install a walk from Main Street across village property onto the applicant's property at the applicant's cost.
Do we need to approve the tree plan first?
Sorry, thank you, Fran.
Okay.
You wanna do that one?
I will if I can remember how to say it.
Okay.
I'd like to make a recommendation that we approve the recommendation by the tree board to allow the owners of 230 Main Street to remove the 40 yew trees and plant according to the planting plan scope of work presented to us dated July 26, 2017 for 3 trees and 4 shrubs, including
Four
mulching.
Four trees.
I'm sorry.
4 trees and
four
4 shrubs.
including mulching and agreement to water every year for the first year. So the recommendation is to approve
Okay,
the whole
Is
plan.
that
Thank
your
you.
second?
thank you.
I'll
Lynn.
second.
Thomas, I didn't catch that down. Do you think you could put that in the minutes? Thank you. Okay, so that's one. And then the second one, if the 4 shrubs are removed from the path, I make a motion that the applicant can install, that the village will give the applicant approval to install the walkway from the Main Street sidewalk to the front of their house.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Did we vote on yours, Fran?
I don't think so.
Sorry, a vote on Fran's
I
recommendation?
Recommendation, then seconded it.
Right, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody. Okay, there's that one. The intention here is to read into the record a letter from Kathleen Foley, having to do with pesticide spraying on Fishkill Road.
Herbicides.
Herbicide, thank you.
Do you want me to read this one?
Right. The letter, it's an email, letter is as follows. Mayor Morandi, Supervisor Shea, village trustees and town board members, on June 22nd, following the obvious application of herbicide along the route of our water supply in Fishkill Road, I followed the following documentation from the Putnam County Highway Department. Any drafted executed contracts between the county and any other entities, including those currently in force related to the application of herbicides and or pesticides along all county roads, including Fishkill Road, issued between January 2016 to June 22nd, 2017. Any permits issued by the DEP and or the DEC, including those currently in force related to the application of herbicides and or pesticides along all county roads for the period January 2012 to June 22nd, 2017. All application records for herbicides and or pesticides along all county roads, including Fishkill Road for the period January 2012 to June 22nd, 2017. A list of the trade and chemical names for all herbicides and or pesticides applied along county roads, including Fishkill Road for the period January 2012 to June 22nd, 2017. Attached below in the FOIL response are documents provided by the county. They raise serious questions regarding the safety of our water supply as impacted by the county highway department. My concerns include the application contract to offer the spraying of all county guardrails and signs twice a year, with applications records in this report going back to 2012. That is, this is not a new practice. A report from the company that was hired most recently to apply the herbicides documents the use of a non-selected glyphosate
product.
with injections into the spray stream when appropriate of trade chemicals DuPont Oust XP number 352-601 and credit for 41 extra number 71368-20. Depending on exposures, all of these herbicides carry risks to humans, animals, and environmental health. Following resident complaints, an inspection was carried out by the DEC on 7/12/17. Note that the inspector's report documents that the inspection was incomplete. The contractor, Allen Chase Enterprises, who was mentioned by Greg, was not present, so not all requirements were checked. I request that the village water department, under the supervision of the village board of trustees, and in consultation with the town board, investigate this matter further. The public should understand at a minimum the following. Why is herbicide spraying of guardrails necessary? What is the hazard of vegetation around guardrails? Are there buffer zones that protect drinking water sources? I've been told that the DEC requires a 75-foot buffer for herbicide spraying. Is that accurate? Existing codes related to the protection of the village water supply mandate buffer zones for a number of wastes and hazards, documented in the New York's government's health requirements. Do we need to address herbicides more specifically? I would appreciate the trustees and town board members looking into this matter carefully and reporting back to the public. Very many thanks, Kathleen. That was followed up by a letter from Mayor Morandi to Fred Penna, PE Esquire Commissioner, Putnam County Highways and Facilities, 842 Fair Street, Carmel, New York. Dear Commissioner Penna, it has come to my attention that sometime in June of this year, Putnam County Department of Highways used herbicides to control weed growth along the guardrails of Fishkill Road in the town of Phillipstown. As you may know, the path along Fishkill Road is the conveyance of potable water from a reservoir to top Lake Surprise Road to our water treatment plant. As you may also know, this is not the first time that this has happened. When herbicides were used along this road previously, our water superintendent, Greg Phillips, was assured that this would not happen again. Yet, here we are. The citizens of our community are rightly very concerned. We all work hard to make sure our environment is clean and safe. Any possible contamination of our drinking water is unacceptable, especially when it is preventable. For this reason, I would like to request that a written directive be given to all divisions of the Putnam County Highway Department that the use of herbicides along Fishkill Road in Phillipstown be strictly prohibited. I appreciate your attention to this matter. Thank you, Dave Miranda, Mayor. Okay. That was old business. New business. A request to film in Cold Spring.
Okay, I read his request. I think we need more information from these people.
Okay.
And also, do you want to just read this out?
Go ahead.
Okay. I'll read that. Request for filming in Cold Spring. Hello, Jeff. It was pleasant talking to you several minutes ago. My name is Zach Bubalo, and my partners and I are making a short, low-budget film and would love to shoot in and feature Cold Spring. The crew size, as it is a small, short film, the crew would be pretty small, under 10 people, and the cast would only be larger than 5 to 10 people for one day of shooting. The shooting dates, we're looking to do 3 days of shooting sometime between Thursday, September 21st through the 26th, ideally over the weekend. Locations, right now we are looking to shoot in a village green area, a bar, and a field where we can set up a small tent. Partnership, as our budget is pretty small, we are hoping to have a full partnership with the town and possibly feature Made in Cold Spring in the credits and marketing materials in exchange for a reduced shooting fee. The movie is a short superhero comedy, a mockumentary like The Office, about a superhero conference in a small town. We've been able to generate some interest in the film during our crowdfunding campaign, and you can see some articles here. Who we are. Matt, Jim, and I are filmmakers and friends who met during our time at college. During the day, we work in television and media, and we've been running our own little production company for the past 5 years. We've worked with big brands such as Lay's and Budweiser, but our true passion is making comedy that everyone can enjoy. In addition to industry experience and awards, we have created a fan base that loves and supports us. You can find out more about the movie and our company at our website. I looked this up, couldn't really find a lot about the movie that they're trying to do. I mean, it was all just, it hasn't even been storyboarded yet, so it's just kind of a variety of illustrations. I'm a little concerned about their timing, because weekends starting the end of September is when the village starts getting really busy again. You know, we have a bit of a lull the end of August, Labor Day's very, very busy. Have another lull kind of the beginning of September, but as soon as the weather starts to cool and leaves start to change, weekends become incredibly busy. And I was wondering about how this coincides with C Street arriving. It's about the shooting on the weekend.
I can't answer that question.
Yeah.
But couldn't they use Dockside or Mayor's Park?
If Village Green would be beyond Dockside, would be
Yeah.
fine, Mayor's Park, a bar, they'd have to negotiate with whoever the owners of the bars are.
Right.
Now, I know if we're busy in town, the Doug's is busy.
And the bars will say, I can't accommodate you if they're too
Yeah,
busy.
I would highly recommend to them that they try doing this midweek rather than a weekend,
Mhm.
Tuesday,
I
Wednesday,
agree.
Thursday, rather than,
Mm-hmm.
you know, my other concerns are, they're talking pretty small, under 10 people, and the cats would only be larger than 5 to 10, and larger than 5 to 10 is big for us.
Mm-hmm.
A crew of under 10 people is still big for us.
Yeah, we-
Small is 1 or 2.
Yeah, we don't have any information about, you know, trailers, craft service.
Where do we stand with the documents?
I have kind of written a draft of codes that I sent to John. I have to make revisions on it.
Yeah, we need to get that done.
I
we
know,
can
so
see this.
hopefully I
I might
can-
be able to use that as a.
I don't see why we couldn't use it just as a guideline,
yeah.
because, you know,
Because we need to.
John agreed that it's pretty much A-okay. We just have to put it into the code.
And even if it's not a pretty little folder at this point, that we
Yeah.
can approve it as is,
Yeah,
as long as John says we're good, because that's gonna be our guideline.
right.
So what does this say then?
Oh, you mean,
What do our guidelines?
our guidelines say that we need more information, you know, basically where exactly they want to do it and how long they're gonna be there. We need insurance documents, but the fees would be, cast and crew of 6 to 15 people would be $1,000 the first day and $750 each subsequent shoot day,
So
so.
how much for the subsequent,
Hmm?
how much was the subsequent? days?
750. So cast and crew size more than 15 is 1,500 for the first day and 1,000 each subsequent
So we're
shoot
talking
day.
about $2,500. Now, I don't know what his thoughts are on a reduced fee. What is, you know, if he's worked with Budweiser and Lay's, 2,500 may not be big to him. It may be fine.
Judging by their website, they're a small company.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're a very small company. However, you know, cast and crew of between what he describes as being between 15 to 20 people, you know, it
Where
could
are
be
you?
as small as, let's see, cast
Larger. Can't.
5 to 10,
Yeah.
and crew under 10, which is vague.
Right.
So on the outside, 20 people, on the short side, 15, it's still more than 15 people. So that would fall under the $1,500 for the first day and 1,000 for each subsequent day. I mean, that's a lot of people,
It's a lot of
To
people for
accommodate.
small- Yeah, for small.
plus trucks and
You
equipment
know, I
and
mean, I would
lights. and-
definitely push him to Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We can't do this on the weekend.
No,
And then he's gonna have to negotiate, if he's using the bar, he has to negotiate with them and possibly pay
right,
them.
yes.
And that's between him and whoever he's using.
Um,
So you will get to him, Lynn, and
I
find out
will.
more information?
Yeah, I
Okay.
will. There was something else that, I'm sorry, I just blanked on. I'll get in touch with him.
Okay.
The only thing I was gonna say is that a mention of Made in Cold Spring has absolutely no value to us. I mean, other than a nice mention, and that local people would recognize the scenery, but, you know, the village is impacted by this, and the little mention at the end of the credits doesn't make up for it, I don't think. So I'm not in favor of reducing the fees.
And not for something this big, either. It's not a nonprofit, it's not a college, not a bunch of college kids. It's a, you know, it's a movie that they're trying to make.
Right, for profit.
Okay.
Okay, I'll get back in touch with them.
Okay, approval of bills.
I would like to make a motion to approve batch number 4218 for a total of $105,362.05.
Second? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. We haven't had a chance to review the minutes, so we're going to defer those till our next meeting. However, there was one, Thomas, I think in the August 1st minutes, in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, in the fifth paragraph down, starts out, a vote on the estimate for the firehouse boiler repairs. Do you see? Okay, that was approved. Boiler was approved. What was held was the hot water, proposal. And that was held for two reasons. One was the procurement policy, and the second was to see whether or not we had money in the budget. So if you could make that change, that would be great. So we'll defer the minutes to the next meeting. With that, any public comments?
A quick question, Len, what were the proposed dates for that film that you took out, the range?
Let's see,
September 20th.
Thursday, September 21st, through the 26th. They're looking for 3 days,
Right, and what was
somewhere
the
in
company,
there.
the company name,
Didn't give us one.
or the movie name?
Oh, movie name I don't have. The company name is New York Company.
New York company.
Thank you.
Any other public comments or questions? Andrew?
I have a question about Dockside Park. Is that under the management of Open Space Institute?
No, it's New York State Parks, Office of Parks and
Recreation.
there's this historical thing in there.
Parks, Recreation, and Historical
OPRHA,
Preservation.
New York State Parks.
Okay. My whole thing is, could the village write a letter to whatever organization is governing it and ask that some sand be put down that will, the canoe launch? Is that possible, or?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear. Can you say again?
Is it possible you could write a letter to whatever New York State agency, the Parks Agency, and request that they put some sand in that little canoe launch, so it's a little bit more canoe and kayak friendly?
You could certainly do that.
Could the village do it?
Can the village do it? The village could do it, but, sure, the village could do it. To what end?
Well, I think it would carry a little more weight from you guys than it would from me.
Is the intention of that to be canoe and kayak friendly? Because we have other places to launch a canoe and kayak. You can go to the little
Foundry
park,
Dock
the
Park.
Foundry Dock Park.
Well, the whole
Foundry
thing
Dock
is on the weekends, the kayak outfitter, he's basically monopolizes about 3/4 of the,
And he's not supposed to. It's supposed to be a public park with equal access to anyone who wishes to bring their kayak there. I believe that, my own opinion is that parks would not be interested in putting sand into the Hudson.
well, it's not into the Hudson, it's on the launch into the,
Well, if you're going to go down to the water level, right,
right.
the water level's gonna come up, so it's gonna end up in the Hudson, but that's a personal opinion.
Okay.
The challenge is we've talked about having a canoe and kayak launch there is how do people get their canoes or kayaks to that point? Because you can't drive your car there. So you'd have to portage your canoe or kayak from
I put
wherever.
mine on a trailer on the back of my bike, but that's another story.
Pardon me?
But that's,
I put mine on a trailer on the back of my bike, but that's.
Yes, indeed. I've seen people do that, yeah. That is a way to do it.
All right. So no.
We can certainly talk to Dave about it, but I don't know what his reaction will be to that. I'll make a note.
All right, thank you, I appreciate it.
So sand, that's on the ramp that goes into the river now. Is it concrete now?
No, it's basically like this, I guess like cinder and rubble and pieces of old broken concrete.
So throwing sand in around that is not exactly what you want. You wanna clean it up too, don't you?
No, I think just sand would be fine, just even it all out.
Okay. Sand on the old ramp. Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Anything else? Doug?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, motion to adjourn? Second? Multiple people saying we agree with you, Fran.
Okay.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.